So next week I'm gonna be at the beach. I could probably record, but I feel like I can't think of what
So,
the
I mean,
dilemma is. I feel it.
we can certainly record something,
Right.
and I have no problems ever recording a filler episode that's a monologue. I just, as long as I have some preparation, I can come up with something, you know.
Right.
And it would
The reason
just be much shorter.
yeah. Uh, you know,
And honestly, with kind of the back and forth and the behind the scenes stuff, if it needs to be, I can cut this one into 2 episodes.
interesting.
As long as we have like 15 minutes of some filler conversation afterwards, like the other episode could very much be some behind the scenes discussion about whatever.
I see.
Like the nice thing about our general structure and format is that we can talk about like color of crap for 30 minutes and call that an episode. It doesn't matter.
Oh man, do you remember the houses that they kind of were building in the 80s that none of them had like the same shape? They had all these weird geometric, they had all these angles, and they were basically every shade of crap.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what the style. The style has a name, and it's not contemporary. But I just remember, that comment made me think of like somebody had pointed out, that they're all different. All those houses are different shades of crap, and I'm like, that was kind of amusing to me. But I actually really like those houses.
I don't know what you would call it. I mean, everything that comes to mind is, I know, absolutely incorrect. Because I'm thinking of just different art styles, and that's wrong anyway. It should be architectural styles.
Right. But contemporary is a type of architectural style as well as... Is it? No, maybe not.
Well, I mean, contemporary is generally any...
It's a very broad term.
Yeah, it's relatively recent art. So it's ever-changing.
Interesting.
Or at least that's how I view it. Now, an art major might turn around and tell you that I'm completely full of it. Contemporary actually has very specific meanings, and we're just not at the end of the contemporary period yet, maybe. Or
well,
something.
it depends. It depends on if we are talking about contemporary with a lowercase c or an uppercase c.
Well, that would depend on whether it's the beginning of the sentence or not.
Well, provided So, provided it's not at the beginning of the sentence and it has a lowercase c, then yeah, contemporary is always changing. Whereas there might be a contemporary, not a proper noun, like craftsman. The craftsman style is, I guess it's a proper noun. So that.
Well, it wouldn't. Well. So is it technically a noun or is it an adjective because you're talking about art implicitly? You're just not saying art or architecture or whatever it may be.
I hadn't got that far in the thought process. Now I'm trying to remember what the actual style is called, and it's bothering me.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to know at this point. Because everything I can think of is I know, wrong. Like Impressionist came to mind, and no, that's a whole different style of painting. Like,
yeah,
you know,
I could sit and search for it. I don't think it would take me that long, but again, it's
well.
bothering me.
So if you want to search for it, that's fine. I figure it's kind of funny. I should mention that not only have I now ridiculously over-engineered my general connectivity scenario as a result of failures on Spectrum's part to resolve an ongoing issue, but I also am going to have to give a shout out to T-Mobile's 5G home internet service as being stable enough for us to record an episode.
Yes, and you know what? Also, there were a couple of times where it got a little bit like, but I know you're recording on your side, but it was never bad. I never lost you. Never had to figure out what it was that you were saying, but it wasn't. I won't say that it was crystal clear the whole time, but it was good.
And it's one of those things that if I actually were to take my time and find proper placement and then run a network cable, up in the attic and over and down into the other room, I bet I could get a really solid connection out of it. Like I legitimately have it in one of the worst possible places I could put it in the house right now.
That's funny.
And so mentioning the over-engineering piece, I have Unified Dream Machine Pro, which has 2 WAN connection ports. So going forward, once Spectrum fixes their BS that's going on about a week now of not being fixed, I will move it back to my primary WAN connection and have the T-Mobile 5G connection as a backup.
That's cool.
And the failover happens really well, really quick.
Oh, wow. Oh man, that's really cool. Like truly enterprise kind of stuff, man.
I wish that it had, so at some point it looks like there were plans to implement load balancing where it could use both as an active-active kind of scenario. I don't know if those plans were scrapped or if it's still a feature to be coming. But as of today, the only thing you can do is active-passive failover. Well, active-active failover. It's just the backup is not actively being used unless it's a failover scenario. But if you unplug the cable from the primary, like I immediately get alerts that failover has occurred.
How great would it be if you could get your cellular signal to be would load balance with Wi-Fi on your phone?
Cellular, so you mean like the home internet with the Wi-Fi on the phone?
No.
Like if you were using your phone as a hotspot, is that kind of what you're...
I was just going to... Well, several scenarios I can think of. All right, I'm just using my phone. It's on my Wi-Fi. Or I'm like, here's a good case. I'm on a hotel Wi-Fi. But I've also got good cellular. It'd be great if I could load balance and increase my bandwidth by using both Wi-Fi and...
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I follow. From whatever device you're using that is aware of those 2 connections.
Yes. And then if you have 2 cellular networks, that'd be great if I could use like all 3 or like 2 cellular networks for a hotspot, That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be neat. Over time, I could see it potentially happening. Like especially with the what's the feature where they're using the like cross-screen device stuff that Apple's doing? It has an official name. I want to say universal control because that's ridiculously vague and sounds Apple-y, but is that actually it?
I know what you're talking about. It might be.
Either way, like expanding on each iteration of this, like shared clipboard and shared display, shared input, like over and over and over, you've got this merging and blending of logical implementation irrespective of physical delineation. And so I see this as a potential over time getting to that type of functionality.
So I think that like the clipboard, the shared clipboard, I think that's part of continuity, but I don't know it. And then I don't know. Then one of the features of continuity is universal control. You're right about that, where you get to use your keyboard, mouse, or trackpad of your Mac to control like an iPad or another Mac. I think you can do it with another Mac.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
because I know
I haven't tried that.
They did. I haven't either because I don't have it. Actually, I probably could set something up, but I haven't because I don't use like a notebook and a desktop that would be all signed into the same account and easy to test that out with. I have been thinking more and more about whether I want to order a studio display though.
Oh man, I priced out a studio display and a M1 Mac Mini, just for funsies. I wouldn't get an M1 Mac Mini right now, but man, they're nice. Those studio displays are nice.
Yeah, I've almost decided to order one twice, and I'm wondering how long I can hold out at this point because I don't really need it. I am not the type of person to traditionally connect my notebook to a display.
I know. I can remember the display that you had, and all it did was show you the task switcher. That was funny.
Yeah, but as I keep tweaking and changing some things in the office to try to make it more amenable to multiple working setups, because of partially from working from home and partially with other projects that we'll eventually talk about as well. I keep tweaking and changing things where I could potentially, under certain workflow scenarios, want that other display. And so I'm leaning toward, okay, maybe this is a thing. Here's my problem. Every time I think this is maybe a thing, I think, well, no, if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to get a Mac Studio and make it a permanent fixture for that workflow. And then I have a portable workflow that I could work from as well. And I can't talk myself out of that yet. And I think if I could, it would be very easy to pull the trigger on the display, even if I didn't use it that often. But right now, I can't talk myself out of, no, if I'm going to use the display, I'm going to have a workspace set up for that display, and then change my portable workflow to be more focused on what I need for that specific day or project or portion of things, and have the desktop be the landing pad for everything, just because of storage constraints on the notebook. At this point, I keep hitting storage capacity issues without having external storage attached. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to keep external storage attached, I'd rather have it on a desktop where I don't feel like I have to unplug and plug things in all the time.
So I sent a link to you.
I just saw it pop up. Maybe
the second episode is just us goofing around like this.
At this point, that's what I'm going to do. Just make it a behind-the-scenes episode, because there's no reason not to.
This is like a long after show with no direction.
Well, and I mean, I can even label it the after show and just do it as a part of, this is a teaser. If you subscribe, you get these kinds of things occasionally.
Okay. Do you see this house in Atlanta?
I do.
I fucking love this house. I know Becca would absolutely hate it, but I love it.
I kind of like it myself. I don't care for the ramp.
No, I don't care for the ramp either. But everything else, I mean, all the glass blocks, it looks like a college campus stairwell inside the house. The kitchen with all the windows.
See, the only thing that would be better to me for that stairwell is if it were a spiral stairwell.
I feel so. I get what you're saying.
I like the glass and everything, but make it larger and expanded and make the spiral up against the glass.
When you said a spiral, that's what I thought. And maybe not even spiral, but just go along. Yeah, just go along the glass so that it curves with the contour of the glass. That would be better. But that's you're getting into Apple Store kind of stuff right there.
Yeah.
I love that house. It's a cool house.
Is it just me, or is that fireplace way off center?
Yeah,
it's definitely off center. It's to the left-hand side of that dividing wall.
Yeah, and it's because it's not supposed to be. Yeah, wow. I didn't even catch that. It is really off. But I wonder if that's the center of the room.
Maybe, because there's a different picture later on where it's a different fireplace, but that one is centered and looks appropriate. So I wonder if it's just the angle and not getting the full context of the room that makes that one look kind of funny.
I mean, this is a bathroom that Scarface would take a huge bubble bath in.
Yeah.
That black tile, man. Oof.
Oh, they even enclosed the shower in the glass block, didn't they?
I know. The black tile and the glass blocks, this is the stuff that pornographic movies are made of.
God, it would be a perfect set for almost every step-brother, step-sister porno you could think of.
I know. I mean, it's just like...
And of course, it's in Atlanta.
Yeah, I love that it's like in Stone Mountain's shadow. This awesome 80s house, but I still can't find the name of the architectural style.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you would call that, but it's definitely it's what I was picturing. So at least we're thinking about the same thing.
I feel like maybe like the house from Charles in Charge was this style as well, and it was made out, and it was like a brown wood on the outside, I think. But like there's like whole neighborhoods of this kind of house, and it's just like none of them look the same. And I think that's part of why I liked it, because like when you get to the early 2000s and through the early 2000s, you had a lot of folks building boxes and McMansions, and they all look the same. Like I know someone who lives in a neighborhood, and I mean the houses are different, but it's so homogeneous and it's so.
Well, you're specifically referencing the planned development scenario, right? Like, I mean, the house that I'm in, you've got something like 600 houses that comprise the development that is this. I didn't want to call out the location necessarily. So this planned development, and within that planned development, there are four distinct sections, and each section you have X number of house floor plans to choose from. And so all of the houses are one of these, say, 6 floor plans, and the only restriction is that you theoretically can't have the same floor plan immediately adjacent to the same floor plan, which is not strictly enforced. So as you go around the neighborhood, in each section, all of the houses look somewhat familiar, even though there's variation. But that's very much the planned neighborhood model.
Yeah, but like going through your neighborhood is not like this other neighborhood that I was thinking of. Like going through, I feel like there's, it is a planned neighborhood. There's probably like 8 different layouts.
There's less than 10 for sure. I know that much, but
Are you counting mirrors?
Yes.
Okay.
So like my house and one of my neighbor's houses are technically the same interior floor plan. The difference is that if you look at one room that's on the front of the house, I have a bay window, theirs does not. So it counts as a different floor plan for enforcement of the, immediately adjacent to each other rule. But other than that, they're 100% identical. That's the only difference. Well, okay, so technically they have an add-on with an expansion of the back. I'm going to call it a stoop. It's more than a stoop, but it's not a porch. I don't know what you'd really call it. But like whoever built the house that I'm in, the original builder, they did not opt to pay for the extra concrete and covering on the back stoop, so it's literally just a back stoop, whereas my neighbor has a larger area that's covered for enjoying, sitting outside, outside the back door. But on the front of the house, the only differences are I have a bay window, they do not. The porches and everything else are the same. The appearance from the road is the same except for that bay window. Like, the interior floor plan between both is identical. It's hilarious that little bit of a tweak lets you skirt the rules about immediately adjacent identical houses.
Well, I can't find the style. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I had like in my house, in my neighborhood, it just looks like it's certainly not planned, but like 2 doors down, there's a house. It's exactly like my house, but a mirror image. Like it's the exact same. I went into it once and I'm like, this is weird.
Because it's not what you're used to, right? Everything's reversed.
Right. It is, and it's cool. But and then like the neighborhood that I used to live in, again, somehow like those, like, you drive by, I was like, I reckon, you're like, I'm seeing the same thing over and over again, but it didn't seem like I would get lost in that neighborhood. Like, it wasn't hard, but like this other neighborhood that I'm thinking about in Hoover, it's like I've been going to it for like over a decade, and I still have to look at the numbers on the mailbox to make sure I pull into the right driveway. Like, it's just that homogenous.
Yeah, so that would certainly be different than here. Like here, even though you have the same floor plan over and over, and like if you go walk the neighborhood or drive through the neighborhood, you can certainly see that evidence. They did do a good job with the overall layout that once you've been here a couple of times, you're going to be able to drive to where you need to go without having to confirm house numbers or anything. Because it's going to look just different enough.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It looks just different enough in your neighborhood, but not in this other neighborhood I'm referring to.
I'm so ready to not be in the neighborhood like this, though.
Oh. How come? What's the motivation to get out?
I've never liked houses being quite this close together, and I've never liked being in neighborhoods with an established homeowners association. So that combination of things, like I bought the house that we're in strictly because I intended to resell it, not because it was like a perfect fit for what I wanted. And we just happened to have stayed longer than I anticipated us staying.
But you bought it before. You bought it on your own, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Was it a foreclosure?
It was.
Okay. Am
So
I getting too?
Yeah,
I mean, too much of your business here.
No, you're fine. I intentionally bought it with the intent to resell, and so there was no reason for me to pay full price for a place when I could buy one where from day one I at least had some level of equity, and so that's what I did. And
I mean, I'm
on top of that,
way.
making sure I bought it in a place that I knew had frequent desire from other people to find houses in because people like the area. I didn't want to buy a house that was a foreclosure and then struggle to sell it later.
Yeah. No, I bought my house. Like, I don't like my house. I don't like the layout. The thing that I like about my house is that it has a garage. And the other thing that I found out that I didn't realize that I would like so much is that my back deck is covered. Like, that's like, I can't go back to not having a covered deck at this point.
The main thing, there are two big things that I want in general. I want a basement, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a finished basement. I want a basement, predominantly because it's more. You can create a section of it as a storm shelter, given our proclivity for severe weather. I would like the comfort of having a place that I felt was actually well constructed and sheltered for that purpose. So ideally a basement, because I can then reinforce a section of it, and it's the perfect safe spot for severe weather.
Yeah.
But if not, I'll put a storm shelter in. That's fine. I don't mind going that route. So my preference would be a basement, but it's not a hard no. But the one big thing I want to be able to walk outside my back door and not see my neighbors. I don't care if that means a 30-foot fence or what. I want to be able to have some level of I can walk outside and people not see me. Now at the front door, I don't care. Everybody can see me. But out the back door, I want it to be a private place.
I understand that because I remember someone, they had a house and it was a nice house. And the people that moved in, like, I don't even think it was in the same neighborhood, but it was like behind them. So they're like their backyard and this other person's backyard, was where the property line was. And that dude, like on Saturday mornings would like be quote unquote working on his car and you'd hear like he just like start revving the engine and like, what the hell is he doing? He doesn't have a dyno in there, so there's no reason for him to be revving his engines. So, that was not a pleasant sound on Saturday mornings.
And it's funny, like as I talk about it, I like both of my neighbors. I have no problem seeing both of my neighbors when I walk outside and talking to them, like walk into each other's yards, no problem. It's just I want a place where I can walk outside and not always know that I'm visible to somebody.
I had a place like that. It was cool because it was in a planned neighborhood, the backyard had a privacy fence, but it just happened to be on a where they had they had flattened the there was a hill, and they had flattened the hill to put so I lived in a cul-de-sac, and they had it was part of, it's the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. They flattened it out, and the backyard was out there. But my neighbors behind me, even though I had a privacy fence, they wouldn't have seen me anyway. But it was even additionally more private because I'm up like 10 or 15 feet above them. So if I went outside of my privacy fence, it goes straight down, or not straight down, but it would go, pretty steep hill, and it's like those neighbors, and so they look on a hill and they see the back of our yard. So in a sense, they didn't see us and we didn't see them, but I could see them if I wanted to.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that, even as an alternative. The biggest driving force in general is just more space. Now that we're consistently working from home, this house just doesn't cut it.
Yeah. I will say that neighbor, when Christmas, got rid of his Christmas tree, threw it over the fence. I was like, I'm going to burn that. So I went and took his Christmas tree, cut it up, and burned it.
Hey, free wood's free wood.
Yeah. Oh man. And that's a conifer that's been drying up inside somebody's house for a month.
Well, I mean, there's a reason, like the past couple of years, we've gotten real trees, and I have not thrown them away. I have cut them up and shoved the pieces into bags to use as fire starter.
I mean, it's so good. I mean, burning fat wood is like probably one of my favorite things ever. And when you can find, especially like if you go camping and you can find a big log of fat wood, it's amazing.
Well, yeah, especially because you don't have to worry about whether it lasts more than a day,
Right. We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.